Welcome to Developing Me, We, and You, where real people, real projects, and real change come together. From hard hats to high heels, today's guest is a force in steel-toed boots and boardrooms. Akilah Darden is the award-winning founder of the Darden Group, LLC, and a nationally recognized construction executive who's led over $2 billion in projects while breaking every barrier placed in her path. She's not just building structures, she's building legacies, empowering communities, and redefining what leadership looks like in construction and beyond. Get ready to be inspired as we dive into how she develops herself, her team, and the people around her. Welcome, Akilah Darden.
Thanks for having me. That was a good intro. I have to use that. Thank you.
Shout out to my assistant, and I think someone from your team might have helped with that as well. So that works.
Oh yeah, hard hat and heels. I love it.
That I think it's perfect. It describes you to a T. Your name and your company name rings bells around the city and I know beyond. And so really excited to have you here. I've heard you say before that you were founded during the pandemic. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, during the pandemic, but you're no stranger to the space. You've been in the space for how long?
25 years. So actually I started December 16, 2019.
Okay.
So I was pre-pandemic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get started and what inspired you to go into real estate development?
I started December 16, 2019. And it was actually the anniversary of my father's passing. He passed in 2002. And he always instilled in me that I could do anything that I wanted to do. He just didn't know that was going to be construction. So my dad actually showed up to all my construction sites, no hard hat and a Corvette. And I'm like, Dad, all the things. But what inspired me was I loved math and science. And then one of my teachers and my dad was like, you should take drafting. So I took a drafting class my senior year and I was like, this is it. I'm going to be a famous Black female architect. I looked up and I Googled architect and I Googled math and science, and architectural engineering at North Carolina A&T came up. And I was like, yep, I'm going to be an engineer studying architecture.
Okay.
And then throughout my practice of architecture, I'm an extrovert. So a lot of the architects are introverted. And so I was like, I can't just sit there and do a one-dimensional drawing. I want to build some stuff. So with my architecture and engineering background and a bunch of people telling me I was too smart for construction, I was like, I'm going to get into construction. So when I graduated, I spent 12 hours as an architect. And I left at lunchtime the second day to pursue my career in construction. And after 6 months of no, I finally got a yes. And it inspired me because there was so many barriers to entry in construction. And I wanted to be the example of you can do it. Put your mind to it, set goals, and don't take no for an answer.
Okay. So you talked about a couple of things. You talked about that one yes, or that yes that you got,
Yeah.
But you also talked about barriers. So I imagine being a woman and being a Black woman, there were some barriers to entry.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So I was, when I went to A&T, everybody was young, gifted, and Black. So A&T challenged you to be something else because we're all that. So I was like, okay,
right?
Yeah, historically Black college or university, the largest in the country that graduates the most Black engineers in the world. So they were like, okay, we're all that, take that out. What can you do to impact change? So I already had in me to break barriers and be a trailblazer. It was just how.
Yeah.
So in construction, I knew I had the tools. It's just being young, Black, and female, and Black and female, right? To be in construction, it was like, we can't take the risk. So I became a safety risk. So I convinced one person at Syntex Homes to do residential construction. Okay. And I built 2 7-unit townhome structures. And they were easy. And they were like, okay, you're on the track to do townhomes for the rest of your life in Northern Virginia. And I was like, nope, I want to be a professional engineer. And you have to work under a professional engineer to get to practice and get the license. So I set out to do commercial construction. I knew everything about construction for stick build, which is residential.
Okay.
And I convinced a mechanical engineering firm that I could be a general contractor on the Dulles Airport tank farm. So it was bold, and I did it. I got on the project, and it was very, very tough. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. My dad was like, this is crazy. You should go into banking, because I also had an MBA in finance. And I loved it. I love the challenge. I love the adversity. So I got my dream job to build skyscrapers in DC, working with Clark Construction in 2000. So that was my first big thing to do what I dreamt of doing, which is to change the landscape of the DC area.
Wow. So from residential to major commercial.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-huh.
Wow. And so that was 25 years ago. I know there's a lot that's transpired from there. There were other projects that you did in the DMV area and beyond. How'd you end up in Indy?
Well, let's go back to 2002.
Okay.
I was actually going to leave Clark because I was going to work with Jerrel McKissick. She owns McKissick & McKissick, the oldest Black architecture firm in the country. And I was gone. And I went to resign, and they didn't take my resignation. At 24, I was promoted to project manager, the youngest ever in the Mid-Atlantic region.
Oh my.
And
wow.
They gave me a $35 million, 11-story office building with 5 stories below grade in December, and was like, here, go demo this warehouse of 3 stories, demo 2 townhome structures, but keep the second and third floor the brick facade.
What?
And you're not leaving. And I was like, you know what, this is my chance. So in the heart of DC, 10th and F, 10 feet away from the oldest Catholic church that held the Monsignor, which is a chaplain for the DC Police Department, across the street from the World Bank, which is the highest paid attorneys in the world. And I had to hold up the second and third floor of 2 townhome structures, just the brick facade, and excavate 80 feet below grade. And I was able to not only build that project on time and on budget, but that propelled me to do all complex projects after that. So that's why I did $2 billion in 15 years, because I went to all the complex projects, and I made a lot of money for that general contractor as well as a Gilbane Building Company. So whatever. Plans and specs, I can build it. So that was an office building. I did a K through 12. I've done a $150 million high school. I worked for the Department of Defense. I held the highest clearance a civilian can have. So there's projects I can't talk about. And what brought me to Indy was because general contractor in Cincinnati wanted to open up an office in Indianapolis, and he needed someone to run that. And that was my one opportunity to become an executive leadership running a company in contracting. So in DC, it's very tough to be in leadership, especially the 0.01% of women, not just women of color, but just women in general.
Wow.
It was nearly impossible. So I had that opportunity to come to Indianapolis in 2015.
I knew some of your story already, but just hearing more of the details, more of the complexity, and then like the willingness to go after like challenges, like know that this is a challenge and I'm willing to face it. At 24.
Yeah. In the wintertime. You never excavate in the wintertime. So yeah, I had a team that helped me. And the project engineers that this was their first project, they're now executives and running major construction projects. And they always reach out to me to say thank you, because it was no excuses. It was just us. And we just had to get it done. So the adversities that they faced compared to the adversities that I faced, there was no excuses. So rain, sleet, or snow, we were at the job site at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
This episode is brought to you by Edna Martin CBDO, LLC, powered by Edna Martin Christian Center's Homes Program, helping families in Martindale-Brightwood secure housing, build wealth, and grow strong communities. From home ownership training and down payment assistance to maintenance education and estate planning, Homes is your one-stop hub for sustainable living and generational success. Ready to own your future? Contact Immanuel Ivey at iivy@ednamartincc.org and take the first step toward your new beginning. Edna Martin CBDO, LLC. building homes, creating opportunities, and changing lives.
Can you describe a moment that affirmed your calling for this work?
So the Carroll Square project, that's the 10th and F, because
Okay.
I had all the adversities.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest on the project,
Mm-hmm.
leading a project with Ackridge, which was the largest developer at the time. And then they had all these stipulations. And then at that time, there were people dying in DC, police department, stuff like that. So I had shutdowns, but I had to keep the sidewalks open. I had PR. Another project, I had the mayor come and change my schedule, cut it by 2 months, and we were able to finish on time with $1 million in changes for an elementary school in urban DC. So my calling was the fact that I could build on time, within budget, with the community, and making sure that everyone's happy and everyone was safe. And when I finished that project and got the other projects after that, I knew that was my calling. But when I got here in 2019 and I read the disparity study with the OMWBD office, or the Office of Minority Women and Business Development, it broke my heart. And I knew after 18 years of construction that I had the tools that I was going to take to uplift, empower, and upskill the diverse vendors here that were in construction. So that's how I started my business, is because of the disparity study in 2019.
Oh, wow. Shout out to OMWBD. We love those folks over there.
We
Miss
do.
Ava and Fahad and Debbie. So you started your company.
Yes.
Out the gate, did you do the mentorship and the consulting, or how did that work?
I've been a mentor all my life, even in sports in high school, all the way up through college. I always felt, and I realized that the more I instill in somebody else, the more I get to hear it back and improve upon. So I've been a mentor all my life, and I've had most of my mentees stay with me. So when I got here, I got right into the ACE Mentor program, which I've been involved since 2009. It's a mentorship program for high school students that are interested in architecture, construction, engineering. So that's how I got embedded into the network of the construction industry. And then in 2016, I met someone on the elevator, and she got me involved with Pass the Torch for Women. So I've always been a mentor. And because of that, there were a few things that happened and transpired, right? People were communicating their barriers to entry, whether it was construction or business. And I was a PTO president of my kids' elementary school. I had 4 in elementary school at the time, which is crazy. Don't ever do that. I'd rather build buildings than to be a PTO. That was the hardest job ever. But I was doing a presentation, and my kids were talking in the back, and they were loud. And I was like, oh my gosh, like really? So they settled down. And then after I finished my presentation, I asked them what they were talking about. And they were trying to convince their friends that I was in construction. I mean, I had heels, pearls, and a dress on. So that sparked, my mom is a construction manager. If I can remove barriers of what you see is what you'll be, and people talk about STEM, well, construction STEM, actually it's all facets of STEM. So if they could see me with my 4 kids on the cover inside of a construction project that I built, all the illustrations are my projects, that what they see is what they'll be. If they can see me, they can be me. So that was how the book started. Then I was talking to contractors, and they weren't meeting my expectations. So I was like, okay, let me level set. I'm here in the Midwest. It's different than the East Coast. So I set out to instruct on how to be efficient and effective on construction projects. Project management, cost management, communication, estimating, bidding, scheduling. I put it all in a construction management masterclass. And I was like, if I can give them this 50-page interactive workbook, they can tear the sheets out, copy it, submit it to owners and contractors. If you show up in a presentation of professionalism, that's half the battle. And then you're technically savvy. So let me teach you the operation and administrative savvy. So that was another barrier that I was able to remove, was just how do I compete and win? And then the kids, how can you see me? And that all stemmed from mentoring.
Wow. And so you are a construction executive mentor. Oh.
I am a mentor because I don't talk construction most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time, I talk to women who are in male dominated fields and just being confident in how to show up. So I rarely do I ever find women in construction that I can mentor, but I do occasionally. And I try to be with them throughout the construction journey because it's not easy, especially when you're starting out. And I'm just their encouraging word, even if it's a text message of I'm in a meeting, I need something to say, I will help them through that.
So we've come to a point in this segment that we call mirror moment. And the question is, what was a moment of personal growth that shaped your development journey?
The mirror moment that helped my development would probably be I was going into a meeting to get promoted. I was on a $150 million construction project. I had just trained my entire staff because I was going out on maternity leave. So I wanted to make sure that the project didn't miss me and we didn't skip a beat. So when I got back, I thought I was going to be promoted to senior project manager because I did so well training the staff. And that's the moment he told me that he was promoting my engineer or my project manager to senior PM. And so I was like, what? So I was like, okay, I must be promoted to something else. And they were like, nope, it's going to be 2 senior project managers, which doesn't really work because of the duties and responsibilities. So that was a developing moment when I was being undermined for my leadership skills. So I developed my confidence. I developed my network and I put it into action. I went straight to the top and I was like, you put me on this. I was on $1 billion hospital project. You put me on this $150 million project to get it started because the people that were there couldn't. And now this. And so he went through, I guess, maybe a month of the data. And then I got put on a very complex project at NIH. I was promoted and received a raise, which was awesome because people don't technically see those kind of raises. So it was being confident and sticking up for myself and realizing I knew my worth and what I did on that project. And it's because of the data. So a reminder to people that just because they're your supervisor doesn't mean they see what you do. So I always kept, my development was, I'm going to keep a list of what I do and the impact that I provide and what we do as a team, as I lead. So when I went through for the rest of my projects, anytime you saw me in the street or the project, I had data of what we're doing and how to accomplish it. And it empowered everybody on my project to where it was a thing, shoulders back, this is our project, we're on time and on budget. And the subs and the workforce didn't want to mess that up. And because of that, every single sub that worked for me got an award on all of our projects. And that's how I was able to build $2 billion on time and on budget.
Wow. Talk about legacy, talk about leadership. Are all those skills taught in your master class? Because how we sign up? Tell the people how we sign up for the master class.
Yes, you can sign up online. It's courses.dardengroupllc.com. So that's a construction management master class. If you want to follow our story in our book, My Mom is a Construction Manager, that's on AkilahDarden.com. If you want to know about opportunities, I will find workforce opportunities in construction. We have 1,600 people of color on the job site at 16th and Capitol. And if you're a vendor and you want opportunities, we spend $400 million with diverse vendors. So whether you're diverse or not, if you need an opportunity, contact me on LinkedIn. So Akilah Darden on LinkedIn. I will do what I can. If it's not any projects I'm working on, I know someone who may have that opportunity, and it doesn't have to be in construction. And then my website, Darden Group LLC, you'll see blogs, you'll see access to the course, access to the book, and just what we're up to. Okay. And then we have a plushie too. So on TikTok, you can find future_builder on TikTok, and that's a plushie that comes with our book.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, I remember seeing it out at outreach events. Legacy is obviously something that's important to you as a mother. What would you say you would want your legacy to be?
I would like my legacy to be everything that I've touched, I've left it better. I want my legacy to be that we don't have goals about ethnicity or race or gender. It's about equality and everyone comes to the table as a subcontractor. If we can make sure everyone's at the table, we don't have to have the diversity goals. So my legacy is let's remove the goals and see people for the competencies, qualifications that they have.
Akilah, it's been so great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. That was quick.
It was quick. You want to keep going? Thank you again, Akilah, for sharing your journey. I look forward to more chats and staying connected.
Absolutely. And thanks for the opportunity.
Remember, build something bigger than yourself. When we build together, we grow together.